Hi, it's Kirby Summers. Today is May 2nd, and I welcome you to my true crime podcast. This is a preview of a patron-only podcast, and I'm going to tell you why it's patron-only. It's because it's on Disney and the things that happen behind the scenes in a place that caters to children worldwide. The information that I'm sharing on my Patreon uh, is, I thought initially I was going to do one, maybe two episodes on this subject, but in looking over my notes, I realized that I have a lot of information regarding an institution that the general public perceives as, oh, what a great place to take our kids, so on and so forth. In part one, which again is on my Substack, I go over the way it was built, the way that the three-letter agency assisted in the creation of this place. Now, there's a reason why a three-letter agency would want to participate in building something that, in fact, would be used for some of the, let's call them psychological experiments that were conducted, that were exposed in the church committee hearings. However, there's a lot of information that doesn't make it into, let's say, the mainstream narrative. In fact, when I was checking my initial sources for the part two, which I uploaded to Patreon, and by the way, I have two different platforms that are behind a paywall. One of them is on Substack, and the other one is on Patreon. And they both have completely different content. I never put on Substack what I put on my Patreon. I keep my contact in the information that I upload to each one of these platforms different for a reason. It would be unfair, for example, for me to upload something Patreon where my members aren't kind enough to pay $5 as opposed to what I upload on my Substack, where the membership for the month is minimum $19, right? So the information I do on both is different. Sometimes I will see people commenting, oh, I'm joining your Patreon right now in response to something that I've uploaded as a preview, let's say for something on Substack. Well, you're not going to find it on my Patreon. You're going to find that on my Substack. However, regarding the Disney information, I think many of you might remember an English tabloid, a UK tabloid, talking about Jeffrey Epstein and a trip he took to Disneyland, where it showed the blotting out of faces. And I think most of you by now know who those faces belong to. However, there is a deep, dark, and uh, decades-long connection of Disney and some aspects of it that the public is unaware of. Some survivors who you may never have heard about. One or two have written books, but these books never get any traction, clearly, because they're censored and they're suppressed. But they talk about their experience being taken to places, well, let's just say specifically to this place. They have it in Orlando, Florida. They have another one in California. I mean, they own ABC, which is one of the original three networks that we had in the United States. Initially, we had CBS, NBC, and ABC. So I realized as I was doing what I thought was going to be a part two to my part one, which I uploaded a few days ago, that I have so much more information that in fact it will be a series on my Patreon. And again, I cannot upload everything on this platform because this platform is not a safe place. Time after time, I will look for someone that perhaps I myself have been following, only to find that their entire uh, everything that they've uploaded has disappeared. And for those of you who suggest that I have another platform to upload videos on, sorry, I don't have that kind of time. I work 7 days a week, 12-hour days. It takes I don't have a staff. I don't own a nonprofit. It takes all of my time. Right now it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Most people are sleeping, but I am here because I think that it is an important, super important for anyone who has any knowledge about the stuff that we're not going to learn in any other way, to share our information. Sadly, some of us have to share that in a place where we feel more comfortable, that we're less likely to attract the kind of negative attention from the people who they keep an eye on information that's released. No one can be that naive to think that we can speak freely. I mean, I was naive for a very long time, believing, oh, well, I was born in the United States. There is something called freedom of speech. Well, we all know that that is not a reality. That's, I suppose, part of the propaganda machine. Um, and so that for any of my deep dives, they're going to be on my Substack or on my Patreon. So if you're interested in the Disney, and quite frankly, I've got a lot of information on my Patreon. It's only $5. I am planning to introduce very soon the option, because I get a lot of requests by people who want to talk to me personally. Well, I don't, as I just said, I work 7 days a week. I work 12 hours a day. I'm going to put an option where if somebody pays a certain amount of money and you can work around my schedule, then I'll agree to have a one-on-one conversation with people who opt for that. And I'll be uploading information about that in a week or two, because clearly, as much as I would like to speak with every one of you or answer every one of your questions, there's only one of me. I don't have a staff. Again, I'm not a nonprofit. And so somebody who contributes a substantial amount of money to my work, which keeps me helping to expand the knowledge of information. And by the way, I'm not the only person who's been working on bringing information that is not readily shared. There have been people that came before me, and I'm sure there are going to be people that come after me. That said, the window of opportunity that the internet has provided us is closing. It's closing because bills are being introduced to end even the little bit of freedom that we have to exchange our information. We have seen this escalate in the last couple of months. So let's take advantage of the time that we have now. I would like to not see anyone complain that I'm not taking a chance for my own safety. I would like to just say that I have plenty of free content here on YouTube. I also put free content on Substack. And as I've said repeatedly, my Twitter was taken away from me in November of 2022, where I had tons of incredible content that other people used for research purposes and for their own podcasts. That was completely eliminated. So I do offer free content. I can't do more than I already do. I find that I am, it's very humbling to realize, when I look at the people who follow my work, that most of you, I would say 90% of you, have been following my work since I started doing this in June of 2019. So I'm almost at the 5-year mark of sharing information that I have from my own experience. And by the way, I share some of that in my part 2 of my Disney series, which is on Patreon. And so I thank those of you who have stuck with me through thick and thin, no matter what. Clearly, as some of you know, have been the subject of a lot of attacks throughout the years. You only get attacked if people want to silence you, all right? And you just have to know that in my case, if I feel that if I don't share information, that I am not contributing to the well-being of my fellow humans. I mean, we're here, and I believe that it's our responsibility to help one another. That we have to, we have to try to just figure out how to overcome and how to not fall victim or prey to dark forces. And I believe that the only way that we can do that is through knowledge. Knowledge ultimately helps us help each other. Okay, guys, give this a like, subscribe if you haven't. Talk soon. Have a nice day. Bye.